right, Evan Ginsberg back with another edition of Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. And we have a very special co-host today. We have James Arena, author of First Ladies of Disco. And a bit later in the show, we have not one but two Renaissance men, Dan Acosta and Marc Raco. But without further ado, I want to bring on my co-host, James Arena, First
Hello.
Ladies of Disco. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. And you were on a few weeks ago with the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Carol Douglas and Carol Williams,
That's
one of our
right.
one of our greatest shows. That's right.
It was
That's
great.
Right. And it was like royalty walking in the room.
They really were. They're great performers too. Yeah. You know, when you actually see them singing live like that and doing their thing, it's like you're catapulted back to 1978 or something. You know, it's really great. They're lovely women.
Absolutely.
And very supportive of this book.
Absolutely. And on December 14, you're bringing Norma Jean Wright from the original Chic.
That's
My
correct.
God, do I love Chic. Nile Rodgers and Chic.
Pretty great, right? And they're nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I believe, and that would be great if that comes through. And yeah, Norma Jean, I saw her last night. She performed at Disco Inferno at a show at Resorts Casino last night. And boy, I'll tell you, she and Lucy Martin were amazing, amazing vocalists. Their energy, their style, everything about them was spot on, just really amazing performance.
And one of my all-time favorites, George McCrae, was on that show. How was he?
That's right. I was stunned by George McCrae. His voice, it was like if you closed your eyes, it was like the 45 was on. Right. He looks great. He has such a charisma about him and a warmth with his, the way he engages with his audience. And his voice is amazing. He hit every high note
notes.
Right, of that song. Incredible. He was just amazing. I was stunned by that. I thought that was incredible. And I think the audience really, really warmed up to him. They were really excited about him being there.
And January 4th on this show, you're bringing Martha Wash. What a legend from the Weather Girls.
That's right. Martha, well, you know, her reputation and her history just speak for themselves. With the Weather Girls, It's Raining Men, as a backup singer with 2 Tons of Fun for Sylvester. Martha's voice is beyond description. She's got a new album out called Something Good, which is absolutely outstanding. And she's just wonderful. Another champion of the book, First Ladies of Disco, in which she has a chapter. She's just great.
2 Tons of Fun, that song, Just Us. I love that song. I just love that song. And Sylvester was unbelievable. R.I.P., man. He was great.
Absolutely.
He was great.
A real kind of a trendsetter and a barrier breaker because he was almost like a cross-dressing pop phenomenon. And he was just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Sylvester, had he come later, he would have been huge. And he was in his own right. That live album that he did is such a beautiful album. Oh, my God.
I remember buying Step 2, which I'm not sure if that was his first or second album, but boy, it was so iconic, that record. It broke into the top 20 nationally on the pop side with the single Dance Disco Heat. Really amazing guy. And
why are we talking about Sylvester? Because Martha Wash and the Weather Girls, at that time, 2 Tons of Fun were his backup.
Right, and think about it, 1977, 78, 79, how many kind of cross-dressing singers were there gaining such enormous popularity with 2 very robust singers behind him.
Right.
It was a very striking visual, and it was great, and their voices combined were astonishing.
Yeah, Sylvester was great. And so what motivated you to do First Ladies of Disco? I started reading it, and I love it. And,
thank you.
What was your motivation?
I think I had 2 things that were pushing me to do it, maybe 3. The first was I just personally wanted to know more about these women. They had such a big impact in my life. I listened to their music to this very day. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about them. And there wasn't a lot of material out there about them. There's a lot about the disco era, but not so much about these women themselves. I gave them the opportunity to tell me whatever they wanted the public to know. And they did a great job on it. I also wanted to say thank you to them, I think. I think that was part of my motivation because I really appreciate the music that they made. And I think they're highly underrated, and I don't think they get the attention that they should. That whole genre of music is kind of treated like a stepchild almost of
it's ridiculous.
Music.
And I mean, now they call it dance music. Right. Come on, it's the same thing. and
That's
it's just updated a bit, and to put a stigma on an entire genre of music, and some of it was great. I think of George McRae as an R&B singer. Disco is almost has a stigma to it, which is a shame because a lot of that music, holds up 40 years later. Great music.
Absolutely. A lot of songs today borrow riffs and different things from these classic songs, but they stand the test of time. And I'll tell you how I can prove that is the response the audience gave to these singers and their songs. They would roar actually last night when some of these songs would come on. And one that stands out to me last night was Machine, There But For the Grace of God.
Oh, yeah, August Donnell worked on that.
That's right, that's right.
From Kid Creole.
Boy, when those first chords of that song came on,
Great song.
oh, God, people went crazy. Absolutely
And
crazy.
that song, if you listen to the lyrics, is very profound.
Very profound. Ahead of its time.
Yeah, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but people that are detractors of disco, they'll always complain that there's no substance there, but For the Grace of God is a serious song.
Right. Look at LaBelle's Lady Marmalade, which was a very early disco hit. The lyrics in that are quite profound as well. There's loads of examples of songs that had depth and character to them. Yeah, there's plenty of party songs and fun songs, and there's nothing wrong with that kind of music either. But disco was far broader and far deeper than it's often given credit for.
And you have a sequel coming out. Tell us about that.
I do. That should be out by end of February, early March. It's going to be called First Legends of Disco. It's a combination of men and women in this book, singers and producers, and a DJ. I have one of the original DJs from Studio 54 in there, Robbie Leslie. But it is really spectacular. The lineup I got is equal to First Ladies of Disco. Give us a few names. Oh, my gosh. We have Crown Heights Affair, The Tramps, Carol Gianni from the UK, Alpha Anderson from Chic, another original singer from Chic. Sister Sledge, I was amazed that I was able to get them in there. France Jolie, she also writes the foreword to the book. I even have an afterword in the book by Henry Stone, who is the founder of TK Records.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love TK Records. George McRae.
Yeah, it all becomes like a family.
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. 40 singers in that book. It even surpasses First Ladies. So I think it's going to be very well received. I hope so. And I think combined, the two books maybe will give disco music the attention I think that it deserves.
And I've been reading First Ladies of Disco, and I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, but you're an excellent writer, and it's from the heart, which is even more important.
I don't know if I'm an excellent writer, but you'll get the sincerity. You'll feel that I have a lot of emotion for the music.
No doubt.
But thank you very much.
And show the viewers the book itself.
Always happy to do that. First Ladies of Disco, 32 stars, discuss the era and their singing careers. We have a foreword in this book by Gloria Gaynor and Claudia Barry, and an after foreword, speaking of KC, by KC of KC and the Sunshine Band.
There you go.
And it's available at Amazon.com.
Beautiful. And this doesn't really have anything to do with disco, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the next year's inductees, the listing came out yesterday. And I always want to put a gun to my head when the Spinners aren't on the list. 20 million selling singles, one of the greatest stage acts of all time. Felipe Wynn, one of the greatest lead singers of all time. 50 years in the business. What exactly do you have to do to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I was talking to Norma Jean Wright of Chic last night about that very thing, and she says, well, you know what? If you're not nominated at least 10 times, you can't expect to get into it.
Wow.
So you have to go through several nominations, I think, to sometimes get in.
I love Chic.
It is strange, though.
Chic is one of the all-time great stage bands, but so were the Spinners.
Absolutely.
And so are the Spinners. They're still out there after 50 years. I saw them in 2013. And I was actually moved. It's hard to explain, but I just watched this and I go, this is a lost art, the choreography that these guys are doing. One of the original Spinners is on stage. He's like 75 years old. And it was just beautiful, beautiful.
You know, the age shouldn't deter anybody. Most of these singers are still out there performing. They just don't get the media coverage that they used to get. Last night, Barbara Roy was on the show. She had to sit for part of her performance. Right. But boy, her voice was great. So she was not able to stand through her whole performance. I didn't care.
Right.
She was singing these songs that were amazing, and
Sure.
her voice was so powerful. It was a wonderful experience. So you're not 25 anymore. So what?
Yeah.
You still have the creativity and the artistry that should be welcomed by everyone.
Dan Acosta is a musician and a wrestler, and he'll tell you that Terry Funk at age 69 is still out there kicking ass. So that's the thing I have about ageism.
Right.
I really loathe that, and I'm doing a documentary, The Stage is an Altar, and it's about ageism in the music industry. And doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, 50, 60. If you're great, you should have a forum, and the music industry is not for you if you're a certain age.
You know,
really,
it's a problem here in America. In Europe, they're much more responsive to these
Oh,
singers.
absolutely.
And they don't get upset if you've added a few pounds or if you're over 40. You know, but here in America, we're so image conscious in how we look and all that kind of thing, you know, that if you're over 25, you're considered over the hill. You know, it's
I spoke to somebody just the other day who worked for a major record label. They're looking for 13 to 22-year-olds. 13 to 22. What if you're 25? I mean, come on.
You know,
it's absurd.
It's hard for me to hear a singer that's 13 years old talking about love and the world
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything when they're 13
they really have a
years
lot of
old.
credibility.
Yeah, I have to question that a little bit.
Ridiculous. Anyway, tell the viewers how they could get in touch with you, how they could buy the book. And,
Thank you. Yes, well, primarily the book, you can get it on any online website that sells books, but primarily Amazon is usually the best bet for it. Just look up First Ladies of Disco. It's available as an ebook or as a physical
and your
book.
own social media, your own website?
I'm on Facebook for First Ladies of Disco, the book, and First Legends of Disco, the book, on Facebook. So either of those sites, you'll find updates about everything that's going on with them.
Great. And you're going to stick around and help me co-host?
Happy
We're
to.
honored to have you. And up in just a minute, we're going to have wrestler, singer, all-around Renaissance man, singer, songwriter, Dan Acosta. You're going to enjoy him very much. Colorful young man. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back with Legends TV. For nearly a decade, Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio has featured interviews with the greatest names in the arts and sports. Heard worldwide at legendsradio.net, the program has featured these great musical legends: Ray Manzarek of The Doors, Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins, Judy Collins, Roberta Flack, and many more. Stars from movies, TV, and comedy have included Jenny McCarthy, Wayne Brady, 30 Rock's Judah Friedlander, Shelley Berman, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, David Allen Greer, and Paul Mooney. Stars of pro wrestling and MMA include Bruno Sammartino, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Superstar Billy Graham, and Frank Shamrock. Co-hosted by renowned journalist Dr. Mike Lano, Legends Radio is heard Wednesdays 7 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are archived 24/7 with hundreds of hours of classic interviews. Legends Radio also features the best in indie music, showcasing talent deserving wider exposure.
I'm from Brooklyn, baby. Don't forget the gravy. We are soldiers.
You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Evan Ginsberg's Legends Radio.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Horsehair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and before we get to our next guest, I just want to briefly send a get well shout out to Edwin Vasquez and James Grover, who were scheduled to be here today. They are under the weather. We will reschedule their live TV concert. We'll keep you posted on that. Get well wishes to John Winnell, the poet, as well, and to my own mom, who's been hospitalized the past 2 weeks. So we wish everybody, heartfelt get well wishes. And without further ado, we're bringing on Dan Acosta, who is a wrestler, singer, songwriter.
I call myself the jerk of all trades, master of none.
There you go. So tell us some of the other things you do. It's a long list.
Yeah, well, I started out as a musician. Got to be going on almost 20 years now. And then that actually segued into me getting into the wrestling ring because wrestlers started using my music as their entrance themes.
Interesting.
Then I started custom writing stuff. And then now that segued into doing reality TV. So I've been on Ink Masters and Practical Jokers, Worst Cooks of America. And then that segued into me now getting my very first movie shoot. So I start filming Thursday.
Wow.
So filming from Thursday all the way through December 2nd. So doing first major movie now. So little by little, just trying to get into whatever I can.
So you're one of these guys who probably are not cut out for 9 to 5, but you do a little of everything, and it's all interesting.
I told my mother a long time ago that I was going to do everything possible not get a real job.
There you go.
20 years so far, so good.
And believe me, I know the wrestling business. I was associate producer on The Wrestler. I've been around the business for probably 30 years or so. And it's unusual to start later in life, just like we were saying with the music business. You broke in, you were not a kid. So how is that different? How?
Well, first off, let me tell you, it's rough because these young kids are running circles around me.
Right,
so
right.
I've really got to try and keep up with them. I'm doing cardio as much as possible.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, being the big guy, it just made it even harder. But what happened was when I was younger, I actually had started powerlifting for a while when I was in my teens, and I had blown out my lower back. So I've had back problems my whole life. And at one point, I was actually in a wheelchair back in 2008
Really?
because
Wow.
with the back problems, laziness set in, then that turned into obesity, and then a borderline type 2 diabetic. So it was a big, just snowball
You got a book
effect.
in you, or a documentary.
Yeah, want to write it?
From the wheelchair to the ring.
Why
not?
There's the title.
Because in 2007, I was almost 500 pounds.
Wow.
So that's why, it really was a mess. And then I started just finally getting my act together. And then I had a lap band surgery done in 2010, which helped. It's not a cure. A lot of people think it's a cure, but it's a lot of work. So I've got to watch what I eat. I can't eat too much. If I eat too fast, it gives me problems. But through all that, I also went on disability, and that whole time I was rehabbing my back, that's when I actually started meeting a lot of the wrestlers, was during my downtime. So I met the guys over at NYWC here on Long Island. I ended up meeting like Dickie Rods, Mikey Whipwreck, and those guys, and then they asked me to write music for them. Then in turn, someone from ECPW, a guy named Rocky Shore, he's an old WWE guy, him and Lou Fabiano actually had started using one of my songs as their entrance music, and then I became friends with them, and then Rocky started training me when I finally closed out my disability case. But I'd spent 4 years rehabbing my back. So he taught me how to take my bumps, that way I don't hurt myself. And I got to say, it's been fun because it's another dream I always wanted to live out.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, I've wrestled for ECPW now for about a year. I've done maybe 6 or 8 matches. So not a lot. I don't have a lot of experience. So technically, I don't really consider myself a wrestler. I'm still green as green can be.
Right.
But I try to learn as much as possible.
If you get in the ring and you don't get killed or kill anybody else, you're a wrestler.
Yeah. Well, I did have rotator cuff surgery.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
anybody who thinks it's fake, pay my bills. I'll show you how fake it is.
Wow.
But I have to say it's just another dream. And then from there, I just started pushing everywhere I could. We were talking about this earlier this week on your radio show, the wrestler Brimstone.
Right. I know Brimstone.
Yeah, I met him. I can't remember when I met him, but it was a while ago. I think it was 2010 maybe. I met him, somewhere around there. And I was trying to help him out with his comic book when he first started it. So I was trying to help push that a little bit. And he was the one that actually told me. He was like, you got to think outside the box. You can't be just a musician. You can't be just this or just that. He goes, you got to start looking to see what else you could possibly get your feet into. And, you know, I mean, you know him. That guy's got his hands in absolutely everything you can think of.
Brimstone is an interesting guy. He gets a lot of heat for self-promotion, but I think you should promote yourself.
Yeah, no,
because if you're not going to do it, who is?
I've tried to
Come
talk
on.
him into doing lectures on this because I'm like, it's just something else you can get into.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody from day one, I am a student of the shameless school of self-promoting, but
There's
Brimstone
nothing wrong
school
with
of
it.
self-promoting, you know, and that's it. You have to.
I mean, what's plan B? To be a low-paid indie wrestler? I mean, of course you want to branch out. Of course you want to expand your audience.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you can use it in any field of entertainment, not just wrestling, not just music. Like he was saying, you look and you see, what can I get into? So, I mean, I've learned about merchandising. I've learned about licensing. I mean, everything you could possibly think of. There's so many different aspects that you can get yourself into. You know, and I also have a media company as well called GDA Media Group, and through that I do video and photography. So it's like we're even branching out into that now. I started doing graphic design.
multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
That's what we have here.
Not only that, the more educated you are about these different aspects of your career, the better informed you are and the better decisions you can make. And you're not so reliant on another person to take charge of your career and move you forward. He's moving himself forward.
That's exactly why I started doing
protecting
it too.
himself by doing that, which is very smart.
Because
Absolutely.
honestly, I mean, there's no money to be made on the indie level. There
No,
really
no.
isn't. And that's with wrestling, and even with music too, it's rough to make a living. 'Cause I'm an all original artist.
Right.
So from day one, it's always been rough to push those tickets and get those people in there. You know, you got to have a good quality product. So I couldn't pay people to do this stuff for me. So I hit the internet, I hit the library, I hit the books, and I learned how to do it myself. That way I didn't have to. And, you know, thankfully everybody liked what I was doing. Now it's snowballed into a business where I can do it for other people.
Do you want to know something? I have this conversation with musicians all the time. Please don't put on Facebook, oh, by the way, I'm playing tonight at 8 o'clock. That's not publicity. That is not advertising yourself. You're fooling yourself. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, the internet has everybody spoiled because nobody does promotions like they used to. You don't see street teams. You don't see
Right.
posters, flyers. Nobody bothers with that anymore because they're like, oh, well, you know, I tweeted it. I threw it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Went through my Reverb Nation page. I'm good. And it's like,
Statistically-
no, stop being so lazy, you know?
Statistically, you have to remind somebody 7 times for it to register because there's such a bombardment
Yeah.
of information. James is constantly promoting his book, and you have to.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have
no,
to.
you can't
People have
stop.
other things going on in their life.
It's exhausting too,
Yeah.
especially when you're going on all these different formats, tweeting, Facebook, all these different things that you have to go on, and you got to get yourself up to speed on them as fast as possible. And then every day you gotta there's like 8 or 10 things or more that you have to make sure you've said something on or done something to move yourself forward. It's exhausting. It
Yeah.
really is.
I joke around and I tell everybody, like, I'm like, success doesn't come with a sleep package. I'm like, you can check my Facebook page. I'm throwing status posts up at 8 o'clock at night, 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then finally around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm like, all right, going to bed because I got to be somewhere by 10. You
Yeah.
know, so catch you guys later.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
like, how do you do it? I'm like, if you got, you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? You give up those little things like sleep. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to
Yeah.
give those up if you want to actually push everything out there and get it done.
Absolutely. How many indie wrestling shows have we both been to where there's 20 people in the audience?
Oh, too
How many clubs have we been to where there's 5 people in the audience?
Yeah.
You have to promote. Come on.
And that's the thing, like I could understand if it's the very last minute because I get last minute gigs where someone will hit me up and be like, hey, can you play tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
I'll take a gig no matter what. I hate canceling gigs.
Sure.
But if you have a month, 2 months to sit there and push your gig, and then I don't see a post from it, I get an invite 2 days before the show.
2 hours before a
Yeah,
show.
I'm like, my plans are made already. I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to hit me up a month ago with this thing, you know, or at least 2 weeks out.
Absolutely.
And guys just don't understand because they're like, oh, but I threw it out. I sent out 5,000 invites. I'm like, yeah, but how many realistic tickets is that? 10, maybe, if you're lucky? Like, you can't go by that.
Flyers have a 1 to 2% success rate. So if you give out 100 flyers, that's going to generate 1 or 2 customers. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I would tell people to go give out 5,000 flyers, you know, if they have to.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's
I do a lot of charity work, and I'd have to say probably 80% of my shows now are charity shows. And it's like I'm constantly out there pushing and pushing and pushing. Those, I still put together a street team. What I do is I comp the kids tickets. I get high school kids, I give them community service hours through my company, so it looks great on their college resumes when they need it. I've been pimping my nephews out like that for years.
Pimping my nephews. That's your next reality series.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I even made, my nephew was my drummer for 3 years too, because while he was off in the summers, I was taking this kid with me on the road and introducing him to everybody. So, I mean, you have to just constantly come up with new ways to get yourself out there. People are just too lazy and too spoiled by the internet to do it.
Absolutely. I had my nephew in from Korea. My wife's Korean. This kid didn't know it hit him. I'm emceeing hip-hop shows in Brooklyn. This kid's out there hanging out with the rappers. Yeah, it's always good to bring the kids into it, because let them see it from the inside, the good, bad, and ugly of the
And also
entertainment
gives them,
business.
it gives them an option, because in my nephew's case, he's going to school to be an accountant, but at the same time, he's a phenomenal jazz drummer. We started teaching him basic beats when he was 4 years old, and from a jazz drummer, he went into blues. He started playing saxophone. He played in his jazz band. Then I threw him on stage with a rock and metal band.
Wow.
So I'm like, it's just another option. My youngest nephew, he's my second cameraman whenever I need him. Now I'm teaching him some photography as well. So I'm like, you got to have options. I don't want you guys to get stuck in a rut thinking, well, I can only do this, I can only do this.
You and I are going to win Uncles of the Year.
Oh,
I can see this.
absolutely.
I can see this.
Looks good on the resume.
That's right, that's right. And you have an unbelievable resume. Tell us about some of the reality shows you've been on.
Oh, I've done 2 seasons, well, technically 3, but we don't talk about the next one that's coming up. But I've done Ink Masters. I actually got a tattoo on the right side of my chest. Got this giant skull with these big beady eyes. I've done Impractical Jokers. That was a lot of fun. We did, my photographer actually came with me on that one. If you ever see the episode, it's the one where they're doing the fashion show. And the lady that's making all the really crazy faces, all the close-ups, that's my photographer, Diane. So I got to give her a shout. Everybody loved her on that show, and she hates to be in front of the camera. I've also done Worst Cooks in America with Bobby Flay and Ann Burrell. And I actually took one of the wrestlers, Stockade, with me from NYWC. He was in that too. We did a biker party. So I brought him in that. I brought him into Ink Masters for 1 season too. But just bouncing around from, doing whatever I can. I have an episode of Celebrity Cook-Off with Guy and Rachel Ray coming out right before the Super Bowl. So little bits
See,
and
if
pieces
you could
here.
body slam Rachel Ray, you'll get some publicity. That's what,
Oh, Dave Navarro joked around with us because he was like, if your artist doesn't win, he goes, you're going to hit him with a chair?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, even better. I'm going to pile drive him through the table we're sitting at right now. And then
That's
Stockade's like, yeah, I'm going to lariat you over the side of the railing, I mean, we had a field day with those guys.
So I'm going to throw this as a general question because you don't want to burn any bridges. How much of reality TV is really real?
I have to say, in my experience, every single aspect of it is real, but there is some coaching. Okay. So it's like they don't script it, but they'll say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And, you have the option of saying no because it is shot live right then and there. There's no retakes except for, key components with the hosts and stuff. But other than that, everything is exactly what you see.
There you go.
But I'll tell you, I fought with my artist a little bit on last season's Ink Masters because we couldn't come up to an agreement on the tattoo I wanted. And they were coaching me. They're like, argue with him, really rip into him. I'm like, no, it's not me. Yeah, the guy's pissing me off. I'm going to rib him a little bit. I'm like, but I'm not going to tear into him just because you guys want me to. I'm like, one, reality TV doesn't pay. If I'm lucky, I get gas and tolls and I get lunch. That's it. So I'm like, you guys don't give me enough money to be that kind of a guy on TV.
Right.
I'm like, because I still have a business that I have to run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I got to look at the big picture. 5 minutes of fame is going to kill my business if I use it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the reality TV, pretty much what you're seeing is what you're getting.
And who are your favorite wrestlers? Who influenced you the most?
Oh, so many of them. I'd have to say, I like the heels. I've always been
me too.
I always loved the bad
Me
guys.
too.
But, The Rock, I've always been into The Rock from day one when he first came in, especially with the Nation of Domination. I used to love those guys. Farouk, I was always into the bad guys. Always been a Kane fan. The new wrestlers that are out now, love Daniel Bryan.
Oh, awesome.
The guy's a technical genius. Love him. CM Punk, same thing. Those guys actually wrestle.
Yeah.
I love watching an actual wrestling match. I love the high spots and stuff too, but when it comes to the chain wrestling and actually putting together a solid match, I love watching those guys. I grew up on Flair, Bob Backlund. I grew up on the Four Horsemen. my grandfather raised me on this stuff since I was 8, 9 years old. So I've
You want to see one of the all-time great heels who's kind of lost to history because there's not a lot of footage, John Tolis, the Maniac Tolis out of California. Tolis and Blassie was the first,
I'll have to look that up.
yeah, the first, not pay-per-view, but closed circuit wrestling match before WrestleMania. That's how huge John Tolis was out in California. A great talker, average-looking guy, normal-sized guy, but just a great, great talker and incredible heel.
Yeah, that one thing too that I really liked was the managers from back in the day. Like I used to love watching Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle. I used to love watching him, Bobby Heenan. Like I still watch documentaries and stuff on wrestling all the time, but old school stuff.
I got some years on you, Albano, Blassie, and the Grand Wizard. Talk about great
I remember
match.
them too,
And
yeah.
Cornette was great.
And of course Jimmy Hart. I've had the privilege
Jimmy
of
Hart.
actually doing 2 wrestling clinics with him, and just watching him even now.
Oh yeah,
Talk
he's
to
like
him.
ageless. He looks
Yeah.
the same.
No,
It's
he doesn't.
amazing.
Yeah, he doesn't get old.
Yeah,
and the fact too, I didn't know that he was the singer of the Gentrys.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
he was with that band. So we talked about that to an extent because I'm pretty much following in his footsteps and didn't even realize it, going into wrestling through music. So we had a nice discussion about that. I learned a lot of stuff from him the couple times I've been able to work with him. I've been really proud. Bobby Rydell set that
I know
up.
Bobby. Bobby's
Yeah, I
a
know
good
you know
guy.
Bobby.
Yeah, yeah,
Bobby's a
he's
great
good
guy, and he's
He has a
given me-
church around here.
Yeah.
He has his own
And
church.
I've gotten a lot of really cool opportunities through knowing him because he's been bringing the vets and the Hall of Famers in to meet us, talk to us about the business. Learned a lot through a lot of his friends.
And early on, as far as entrance music, the Freebirds were one of the first, but I think even before them, Bad Bad Leroy Brown, he came out to the Jim Croce song.
Yeah.
It was almost unheard of back then. I mean, when I went to the Garden, Bruno and Billy Graham did not have entrance music.
No.
They didn't need it.
Yeah.
They didn't need it.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, Bruno's my mom's favorite wrestler. Him and Bob Backlund.
My childhood
And
hero.
I was lucky enough to meet Bob Backlund at the taping of SmackDown Nassau Coliseum back in June.
Okay.
And we're talking. Nice guy, well-spoken, very soft-spoken. The minute the camera came on,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
lunatic.
Character, yeah.
And it was like just a flip side, like Jekyll and Hyde. And I was like, see, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to go from, the nice guy, blah, 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 and as soon as the camera comes on, right into gimmick, right into character. And it was phenomenal watching him work the crowd.
Back-
Still.
I have a question for you in regard to the music that you make for other wrestlers for their entrance music. What is it that you look for in the wrestler to come up with a theme for them?
I pretty much base it on their gimmick and their character. So the one group that I wrote a song for was called The Order of the Black. That was Mikey Whipwreck, at the time Dickie Rods, Nikki Adams, Apollyon, and Crusher Dugan as their manager. Turns out Crusher is a classically trained bass player. So I actually co-wrote it with him. He came up with like the main riff, but I go by their character, their gimmick, and what they portray. These guys were like the badass bikers. And they were all about coming in. They were dominating the company at the time because they held every belt in the company at that point. So when I wrote the lyrics, I based it on what I see in the ring and what they portray. So it was all about destruction, domination, and the hook that I had in the song was bow down to the order. So that's what I try and base everything on, is I go by what I visualize, what I see from them, and then I try and custom write it for them.
I think all wrestlers should be classically trained musicians. I think that's a
There's
plus.
a lot of them that are, believe it or not.
Anyway, Dan, we must wrap it up. Tell the viewers how they could get in touch with you. And
Pretty much you could just throw my name into Google. It's Dan Acosta, A-C-O-S-T-A. The band name is Axis Unknown, and it's A-X-I-S Unknown. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Reverb Nation. Like I said, your easiest bet is just to Google the name because I have so much stuff spread out all over the internet. It's not even funny.
And we're going to hear 2 songs from Dan at the very end of the show, so don't go anywhere, folks. And before that, we have Marc Raco coming up. Very interesting guy. Don't go anywhere. More of Legends TV after this quick timeout.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn? Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote, or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure. You'll be happy you did.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
So then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm flattered that you love chocolate, but I'm here strictly in a professional. What's wrong with him?
He thinks you're naked.
My shell is brown. It just looks like my milk chocolate is showing. Only a fool would think I'd actually show up naked.
So it's that kind of party. Hit it!
I'm sexy and I know it.
Alright.
Look at that body. Look at that body. Look at that body. I work out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
All right, we are back with Legends TV, and we are joined by Marc Raco, who is a singer, songwriter, actor, producer, director, photographer, voiceover guy. He's done it all, right?
I don't know if I've done it all, because if I did it all, I'd just stop right there and not keep going. But I'm working on it.
There you go. And during this segment, we're going to show several pieces of your work. And why don't we start with one? This is a musical number that Marc did, which is very impressive. Folks, check this out before we get into the conversation. I think you'll enjoy this.
You goddesses are such snobs.
But the world needs us.
Aphrodite, I'm immune to your tricks. It's true, I got away with my quiver. Arrows here, arrows there, making young girls shiver. Making bachelors believe in love. Is there a bigger destiny? Is there a truth down here for me? I'm the original lover boy. Mortals enshrined me, they Valentine me. My chubby cheeks on cards and chocolates. Yet my own heart is neglected. Somehow I expected the gods to find me, bring me back.
Your little brat without you, it's no substitute for what you can do.
I'm the original lover boy. Mortals enshrine to me, they Valentine me, and I'm a broken man, down way inside. Without my wings to fly, I'm just nothing of a guy.
Snap out of it. What is this crap? You're a god, not a man. There are things you can do. Nobody else was born for destiny. Does it mean nothing to you?
Thanks for the pep talk. You're about 15 years too late. For you, my heart would break.
What did you just say?
Nothing.
What did you
Nothing.
say?
Not worth a double take. I'm the original lover boy. Mortals enshrine to me, they Valentines me. They made a mistake. I'm the original lover boy.
What did you
Mortals
say?
enshrine to me, they Valentines
What did you say?
The lost art of the musical. Awesome,
like that.
awesome.
That
So,
had a real Broadway feel to it.
That's
yeah.
right. Tell us a little about that.
Well, that was an excerpt, a scene from a musical film called Love Rules. It was written and directed by Beth Bailey from Zinco Films several years ago, actually, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And I wrote all the music for the about 22 thematically related original pieces of music. and she wrote the lyrics for that. And you know, it was a very large undertaking.
Can imagine.
She basically said, okay, I want you to find somewhere between Rocky Horror Picture Show and Rent.
Yeah. And you did it.
We tried, yeah, I think, and one of the things that was really neat about that particular piece, I think, which also had won a mini musicals award, film award a couple of years ago, that scene. And I should mention the actress in that is Ann Marr, who's very, very talented. That's such, if you look at it, there's very few cuts in that piece. It's a very long time. It's very difficult to remember your choreography, do what you need to do acting-wise, lip sync properly. And a lot of people, like, let's say Britney Spears, lip syncs like this, as opposed to really singing, and because you can see all the muscles and everything like that working. And hit every mark. Of course, the camera's got to do what they got to do, and do all that in pretty much one long take. We're really proud of the work that we did.
Very impressive.
But one of the reasons I wanted to share it with you, Evan, was you know, it was a chance to show me acting and singing and something that I wrote for music.
And since you do so many things, much like our previous guest Stan, is it almost like watering down your marketability rather than focusing on one art, or is it better to do so many different things as
Great
an artist?
question, and boy, I sure hope not. I don't.
Same here.
I don't know that I'm doing it specifically to say, hey, let me do all these things and make myself as marketable as possible. It has more to do with a life experience. I see things and I say, wow, that looks so interesting. I want to try that. I think I can do that. I mentioned to someone earlier, my goal in life is to have an epitaph, eventually, a long time from now.
I bet you'll have that one day.
Someday.
Yeah.
That's has to be very tall because of all the things I accomplished in my life. I would like to think that being watered down, being in so many different places, acting, singing, writing, radio host, musician, whatever it may be, makes me more marketable because I understand more things. I've experienced more things. And maybe I understand more about myself.
That's awesome. And speaking of acting, we're going to see a clip of Marc acting right here. Enjoy, folks.
What are we two people called? People right here. Well, we're called, I don't know, your parents. And what are parents, Ginger? Oh, they're just your legal guardians. And to what age are they your legal guardians, Ginger? Someone say the age of 18. Ding, 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 ding. And how old are you?
And one of them even caught me when I lost my balance for just a sec.
Okay, let me get this straight. You sang a dirty song. You were drunk. You were half naked. You were on top of the Rothman's dining room table, and you fell off the table!
Well, I didn't fall exactly. It just sort of tipped over a little bit, and that's when I lost my balance for just a sec. A little bit? Well, mostly. All the way, actually. The other part got a little broken, but I felt really bad about it. But Andy said it won't be that hard to fix.
Video! And millions of people are watching it!
Ted!
Reality TV.
That's awesome. James says it seems like reality TV right there.
Yes, it does.
And tell us about that project.
That was called Joy. It was based on, I was just hired as an actor. It was based on the Anton Chekhov play Joy.
That looked like Chekhov right there.
It wasn't.
No, I'm kidding.
It was an adaptation of it, and it was great. It was a good cast, and it was directed by Elena Arias, who does a lot of theater and opera. But one of the interesting things about that is I got the part, I think, about 2 days before we shot.
Oh.
And it was, I don't know, 20 pages of script.
Oh, wow.
And to try to absorb that, because what happened was, actually the girl in that too got cast about the same time. What happened is, something happened with the young lady actress, and she couldn't do it. and the guy who was supposed to play the part that I played broke a bunch of bones in an accident, and they had to do an emergency recasting and hold auditions, cast it, talk with my agent, all this sort of stuff. And then to try to absorb all of that dialogue in 2 days for both of us is very, very, very hard. It's like shooting a soap opera without the experience of shooting a soap opera.
Yeah.
And but we did it. We kind of did scene by scene, and then we would kind of try to learn the lines and rehearse it, and then shoot a scene and learn the lines and rehearse it.
Are you a parent? Because you certainly have that down.
Oh,
in
thanks.
that.
It's acting.
Well, that is parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
And your partner, Heather Edwards, is also a performer. And what's it like being with somebody who is in the same field? Is there any sense of competition, or?
I don't think there's a sense of competition. I think we inspire each other a lot. She's a pianist and an actress and a very good songwriter, and I think we inspire each other. In fact, we've actually inspired each other to do music. I wrote a reasonably popular song called "The United States of Bacon" that was inspired by her giving me a challenge to write an anthem to bacon, and she wrote a song which I directed a music video of called "Run" that was based on we were home. And, or actually my apartment at the time, and she was hungry, and like any good bachelor, all I had to eat was a box of shredded wheat. And she was very hungry, and I said, "Run, shredded wheat, run!" Like, run, Forrest, run. And we thought it was a hilarious thing, and I said, "Hey, that's a really good lyric for a song."
And you know, bacon needed an anthem, and you're the guy that provided it, so that's why you're here today.
It kind of is an anthem.
There you go. And Marc, you've moved into radio. You're on Monkey Radio, and yours truly just did a very nice interview with you, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we want to show the incredible creative process that goes into Monkey Radio. You're going to see in this animated short. Check this out, folks.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There you go, behind the scenes at Monkey Radio. Now you know where the genius stems from. Marc, you're a true Renaissance man. Tell the viewers how to get in touch with you and how to check out all your art.
Oh, thanks. As an actor, you can check me out at marcraco.com, marcraco.com for all of the goings on. For my podcast, Monkey Radio with Marc, that was a little animated short. That was actually an exclusive premiere of a
world premiere, folks.
World premiere of a trailer for an upcoming film that we're working on, animated film, and about the show. But anyway, you can go to monkeyradio.info and check out all of our fun stuff.
There you go. Marc Raco, and a special shout out to Luann Cerise, who introduced us initially from RAD, Recording Artist Development. And folks, don't go anywhere because Dan Acosta will be right up with a musical set. Thank you, Marc.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Ludwig. When I was 52 years old, I had quintuple open heart bypass surgery, and I wrote a book about it. It's called See You in CCU. Apart from having my ribcage sawed apart, I experienced temporary loss of memory, depression, and sleepless nights in unbearable pain. A lot of people might think there's nothing funny about that, but I think it all depends on how you look at it. See you in CCU.
This is Beth.
Hi.
Oh, congratulations. When are you due?
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, look at that. Excuse me.
You're totally thin.
You look very sexy.
For life's bleachable moments, all it takes is 3/4 of a cup.
Dad, where do babies come from?
Well, there's Dad's big, shiny rocket ship. That's right, it's filled with babies of all kinds. And when the shiny rocket ship penetrates, Mommy and Dad goes, and when the time is just right, there's a space launch.
All systems go.
Babies of all kinds, released all over the place. Yeah, Africa. Mommy's Babylandia. That's right, it's filled with babies. After an amazing 9 months, babies. And that, son, is where babies come from.
But Jake said babies come from
Planet Babylandia.
Play
with us on the bus.
wheels on the bus
Go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
I just want to say this song's available for download, and all the proceeds go to take care of local vets here on the island. So you can find it at reverbnation.com/Dan Acosta. This one's called Lonely Hero. This year I won't see any snow. I won't be singing carols by the fire. I have no stocking with my name on top or decorations to admire. My backyard here is made of sand. There's no snowman on my lawn. And damn, I miss my wife and kids so much. It feels like hell not being home. In a way, I feel like Santa Claus, but I'm not bringing toys. My gift to you is your freedom to live the lives that you enjoy. My Santa suit is camouflage, not red and white this year. So when you're sitting around your tree tonight, don't forget me over here. Yeah. Don't forget me over here. I won't see the look in their eyes when they open up all their gifts. I miss my kiss under the mistletoe. Yeah, I miss my baby's lips. But I know I got a job to do.
choice I made with my life. The sacrifices that I made for all of you, it's what my heart told me to do. In a way I feel like Santa Claus, but I'm not bringing toys. My gift to you is your freedom to live the lives that you enjoy. My Santa suit is camouflage, not red and white this year. So when you're sitting around your tree tonight, don't forget me over here. Yeah. Don't forget me over here. Yeah, yeah. Don't forget me over here. Yeah. Don't forget me over here. Please don't forget me here. Please don't forget me here.
I'm gonna do one more. This is another one for the troops. It's called South of Baghdad.
Pack my bags up, I'm on my way. Uncle Sam got my number, it came up today. I'm leaving on a jet plane, I'm going to the other side. Take a look at my life now. How did I end up here? I never thought this day would come, not in a million years. Tell my girl I love her, and my family that I love them too. They pulled my card, now I'm going to fight. My head's held, I'm gonna do what's right. They're gonna take me for who I am, 'cause I left a boy, came back a military man. They pulled my card, now I'm going to fight. My head's held, I'm gonna do what's right. They're gonna take me for who I am, 'cause I left a boy, came back a military man. Scared as hell, but I never let it show. I keep it all bottled up inside, because pressure is something that I hope you never know. Tell my mother, the little boy's gonna do her proud. They pulled my card, now I'm going to fight. My head's held high, I'm gonna do what's right. They're gonna take me for who I am, 'cause I left a boy, came back a military man. But don't shed your tears for me, 'cause I'll be holding on to you soon. And just smile when you think about me.